Hi friends, good morning and welcome to IBM TV's another show. And then today we are discussing about Olympics and welcome to Olympics 2020 in Tokyo. Right now the ceremony is going on and we would like to give you a special coverage on IBM TV. And we have a special guest lining up today, joining us from different parts of the world. This is Ankit Khandelwal, your host, joining you from Delhi, India. And then I would like to invite our guest and host backstage. We'll start with Kirill. Kirill representing Serbia today. Hi Kirill, good morning. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, good, all well, all good. We have Ade joining us from USA and she supports Nigeria as well. So, good morning, Ade. How are you doing? You need to unmute yourself, Ade.
Morning, everyone. Hope this is going to be great Olympic coverage. I'm very excited.
How am I supposed to find this? This is not where that we're going to
We
be
have Nick. Good
showing.
morning, Nick. Welcome to IBM TV's Olympic coverage.
Mhm.
Who you are supporting?
Are we live?
Yeah, we are live. Yeah.
I thought we were starting at 9.
No, we thought 8:30 to 9 o'clock.
8:30, 9 o'clock. Okay, so that's where I got it. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So I that's the reason I was going to all these other meetings. Hey, Jackie's joined us. Do you want to bring her in?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have Jackie joining us from USA, and then she supports a lot of countries sitting in USA. Good morning, Jackie. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing good. How are you doing today?
Just great.
All good, all well.
Can't complain. Okay, and Maria's in the background, but she's not showing.
No, Maria is working backstage.
Okay.
So we have the representation from almost around the continent, and then this is the time where we are discussing and celebrating Olympics. Right now, the Olympic ceremony is going live in Tokyo, and millions of people watching the ceremony live on their television network and the channel. So, but what we are trying to cover in the Olympics is that we were trying to give you all the news, the aspects of what happened in the Olympics, the daily schedule, the coverages, who is winning, what are the top games which you need to follow, and stuff like that. So we'll start with the top headlines for the Olympics, and this is the segment what we'll be covering in the Olympics thing. So we'll start with Kirill. Kirill, what is the top headlines for this for the ceremony day?
Well, the most recent news regarding the opening ceremony, which, as all of you know, just started a couple hours ago, is that the head of the ceremony, the director of the ceremony, was fired from his job as a result of comments he made back in the 90s regarding the Holocaust. Due to these anti-Semitic comments, he was fired from his position and a last-minute change was executed, which threw the entire opening ceremony into doubt. Fortunately, it's been quite a show. It's going on. Everyone is there. It's going along without the original director. It was a last-minute change. Very, very controversial. Many people questioned the decision because it is so last minute, whether it was worth it to bring back these comments he made in the 90s and fire him the day before the ceremony. But fortunately, everything is going well. The ceremony is going on, and it's quite the spectacle.
Wonderful. Interesting. But talking about the positives today, as today is the ceremony day, I think the top news for today is that the ceremony is going on. The Olympics is almost started because there was a news that it might be closing down, or they have the option of delaying the Olympics or postponing it again, or cancel the Olympics as well because of what's happening in Japan and around the world. But the good news is that the Olympics is live, and then we can see a lot of actions from Tokyo. So let's go back to Ade. So Ade, what are your thoughts on the Olympics and especially the ceremony day?
Well, my thoughts on the Olympic ceremony day, before we even came into this spot that we are right now, the Japanese public was very against hosting the Olympics at its regular time due to fears from COVID. And we saw that fears personified as more than 60 athletes got COVID before the opening ceremony, before today. And so the risk that they were trying to avoid initially is come to fruition. And there are still athletes who have COVID. And so trying to push that down and on the backs of the director being fired as well has put the whole ceremony into a state of confusion, to be honest.
Yeah, wonderful, great. And also the news is also that there was some kind of passive or some kind of I'm not sure about the news, but the Japanese people were against today's ceremony day as well, and they were standing right in front of the Olympic stadium and stuff like that. But talking about the positive is still that people can see all the actions around the world, and the Olympics is finally started from 2020 to 2021. So that is the good news. Let's get back to Jackie. Jackie, do you have any news for us for the Olympics?
Moving forward with the Olympics that will be taking place today in Tokyo, one thing that I would like to point out is we have a lot of very competitive teams that will be participating in the Olympics. As of today, there is a lot of competition that will be brought. So I definitely, I think we all look forward to after the opening ceremonies to see what will take place.
And of course, we look at the fact that these events have actually already started. There are some events that cannot fit within the time frame of 2 weeks. So we've already seen action in the baseball and softball events, men's and women's football, as well as this morning, the early rounds of the shooting, as well as the rowing. So plenty of drama already unfolding. Personally, I've been following the football events as a massive football fan myself. Unfortunately, my country does not have a representative in either draw, but there has been plenty of drama. In the women's bracket, we saw a massive surprise as Sweden took a 3-0 victory over the United States 2 days ago in one of the first matches of the Olympic tournament, leaving us to question whether or not the United States can bear the weight of defending a 4-time Olympic gold and captured again. In the men's football the following day, we saw a terrific match between Brazil and Germany, ending 4-2 in Brazil's favor, which featured a Richarlison hat-trick within 30 minutes. It was quite the stunner, and it's been amazing to see so much drama even before the opening ceremony, and it's only going to intensify now that the games are officially opening.
Exactly. And then also happening today are archery and equestrian, which everyone looks forward to seeing, and happening tomorrow as well. A lot of sports are competing for medals, be that in archery, be that in cycling, fencing, and judo, and many others that we will see have potential bronze, silver, and gold. So I'm very excited for the competitors who are going to be competing for a medal for their countries.
Great, interesting. Nick, what do you think about the ceremony day? What is the headline from North Carolina?
Well, I'm looking at all the comments that are coming in. Okay, first of all, like this language that this person who made the comment, I have no idea what that means. I don't know if any of the panelists know
like
that.
A quote that he must
language.
be predicting that Japanese are winning the Olympics with 21 gold medals and 45 silver.
Oh, really?
Maybe
Is that
4
what's going
silver.
on? Wow. Okay, so I'm glad we have a linguist here who can interpret that. Okay, Ankit, you're doing good. What does that mean? Talk to
That is mean hello from Tokyo.
Hello from Tokyo. Okay, so anyway, wait, here we go. That I understand. Hello from Tokyo. By the way, the people that are joining us on the broadcast, you can actually type in your comments, and we can put your comments on the air, which will be visited. So I think that's actually pretty cool. And of course, I just noticed that Kerry has his own fan club. Oh, there it is. Okay, I'm going to use it for mine. But anyway, okay, so what I see in the Olympics right now, of course, there's a couple things in the USA, since somebody here has to talk about the United States of America, world's largest economy. A couple interesting items. Number one, the basketball team. Usually it's favored to win, but 80, your Nigerian team beat us. We lost to Australia, and the USA may go down in flames for the first time in years, decades, or frankly forever. They lost half of the games they've ever lost in the Olympics already in the pre-Olympics. Okay, they're called the pre-Olympics, so that was kind of like that. But it's a foreboding tale that maybe Nigeria will become the world's leader in basketball. Okay, look at this. Sorry, you're doing it. Okay, and hey, listen, I bring my own fan club with me. You'll see also. Carol see it. Okay, so Nigeria may win, Australia may win, and the USA may lose. Number two that happened: Sweden beats America, the women's in soccer, or football as you would call it internationally. That's a big one. So that was actually in the games itself. So it's quite possible that we see Sweden or the United States actually get upset. So right now, I would say the world's largest economy is pretty upset right now. So let me see, Ankit, is there a way we can buy off teams or anything, or no?
You already buy a lot of players for NBA. So this is not NBA.
Oh,
this
that's
is
true.
international basketball.
See, that's the problem, is that we bring them in for the NBA, then they go back and play for their own countries. We need to change it. That, you know, if you're playing for the NBA, you got to play for the USA. Okay, so we got to figure a way to buy the talent here, keep the talent here, and not let them go back to Nigeria, whatever country they come from, and make America great again, which is our.
I don't know about all that.
You don't know about that?
I don't know about all that. I mean, you said it's the biggest economy in the world. There's a reason people go to the NBA. There's a reason a lot of Nigerian people come from Nigeria to go play in the NBA. Also, a lot of the team, they're made of first-generation kids. So both of their parents are from Nigeria, and they grew up in America, but they obviously have a connection with their homeland, and so they want to go back. And then we see that with a lot of teams, be that in France, be that Australia, be that Japan. Like, it's not our fault that we're just better.
Okay.
Best
Yeah,
of both worlds.
I have one
It's the best of both
I have one more
worlds.
point to make. The point is that I think the attorneys in USA is not doing a good job, because if they keep the legal files ready, then those players will be playing for USA and not for the native countries. So I think I think it's for attorneys that they are not doing the right job.
Listen, somebody on the panel has to represent the USA, and since I do understand a little bit about technology, I'm kidding, though I can find this broadcast. I did see the introduction. I can do things, you know, that can enhance what we're doing. For example, there we go. The USA is great. Okay, you know, the thing is, you have to learn how to use this technology, then you'll be able to do things like that. So I can certainly enhance what we're doing on that. But no, the having problems with Sweden and having problems with Nigeria and having problems with Australia, I just don't think is totally acceptable to the United States of America. We're going to have to do something different here, and I'm not sure what's going to happen. So it'll be an interesting Olympics coming up, Ankit.
Yes, certainly. And on that note, I think let's shift to our next segment, which is the scheduling for the day. And we'll have certain schedules lined up for the day. We'll start with Kirill. Kirill, do we have anything scheduled for the day in terms of the games which we'll be covering in the Olympics?
Well, today, obviously, all eyes are on the opening ceremony. Currently in Tokyo, it's 9:50 in the evening, so there will be no more events once the ceremony concludes. Tomorrow is going to be an action-packed day with even some medal events in certain sports, and the mainstream sports, the ones everyone's most interested in, will start either tomorrow or the day after. So Saturday or Sunday, that would be Friday evening and Saturday evening in the United States. Tomorrow we see the beginning of the tennis event, which is obviously of massive interest to me and to all of Serbia, as we are looking at Novak Djokovic, the world's top tennis player, as he seeks to complete the Golden Slam, winning all 4 tennis majors, known as the Grand Slams, and the Olympic gold at least once. The Olympic gold is the only thing that is missing from his repertoire. That's what he's going for here. He starts his journey tomorrow at 10 o'clock Serbian time, which would be 4 o'clock in New York or 5 in the evening in Tokyo. There's so much more to watch with the basketball and volleyball events starting on Sunday. But tomorrow we will see mainly preliminary rounds, first round matchups in several different events. Not medal events to my knowledge, but they will come. We will see people winning these accolades and rooting themselves in Olympic history.
Interesting. So I think, but see, everyone knows that Djokovic will be getting the gold medal. So why we are watching the game? Because we already given the medal to Djokovic. What's the point of watching?
You would think that he's been fantastic over the years, and this year in particular, but he was also brilliant in 2012 and 2016, and somehow the Olympics just managed to slip from his grasp. Of course, it's only been a downward spiral since his first appearance in 2008. He captured the bronze that year, which was pretty impressive for him, he was only 20 years old at the time. He had just won his first Grand Slam, so a bronze medal was a perfect start. But since then, it's only been getting worse and worse. 2012, a semifinal loss followed by a shocking bronze medal match loss to Juan Martín del Potro of Argentina. And then in 2016, a first round exit once again to Del Potro. Luckily, Del Potro not participating in the 2020 Olympics. Well, I say luckily, I don't mean it. Del Potro is a great competitor, and the reason he's not competing is an injury, which is obviously never a good thing, nothing to celebrate. But there has been a recent exchange on Instagram where Del Potro wished Djokovic the best of luck, saying, "This time you stand a chance." And plenty of humor on his part. Hopefully Del Potro's right. We'll see, can Djokovic bring the gold to Serbia for the first time?
Wonderful. That's interesting. Let's go back from Serbia to Africa. Ade, do we have any news or any schedule for the Olympics from your side?
Well, I'm particularly looking at the volleyball, which is starting up tomorrow. We have a match at 9:45 between USA men's and France, which I have friends on both of those teams. So I'm very excited to watch both of them play against each other. There are some great teams and some great men on both sides. And we also have the beach volleyball match also starting at 8 o'clock with the US versus the Netherlands, and a great game between Brazil and Argentina, with Brazil bringing in the gold last year. So they're the team to beat.
Wonderful. Great. And from Africa, then we have to travel to US again. Jackie, anything in the schedule for today's which you are eyeing or watching on?
Well, like Nick said before, it's just like the USA has a lot to prove or has a lot to represent the US. The USA did get beat many times by a bunch of different international countries for different sports. So ultimately, we will have to see if the USA will be able to prove itself again, or if they will accept another defeat.
Great. Okay. And in terms of the countries which I'm following, the sports which I'm following, today's Indian contingent will be participating in the archery, and we have a high chance of getting the gold in archery, especially in the women's side, because our woman archer, she's the world number one, and she might be going for gold this time. She missed the gold last time as well, but this time I think she will be going for the gold. So that is what we are starting on today's game with the archery. But apart from that, there are a lot of other games coming up. Do we have any schedule for day 2? Because it's already night in Japan. So do we have any day 2 schedule lined up? Anyone?
Last I know is that at 4 a.m. Central European time, that is to say 3 a.m. in London, 5 a.m. in Istanbul, or 11 local time in Tokyo, the events for the day start. We will see events in rowing, archery, as you said, as I mentioned earlier, tennis, and later in the day, in the evening, we will see the volleyball matches as well as the football tournament, or soccer in the United States, continuing. So that's as much as I know. That's as much as I've been looking at, because these are the ones I personally have a vested interest in, coming from Serbia and Macedonia, 2 countries which are competing in the archery events, which start in the early morning, as I mentioned. So that's as much as I can provide. There's obviously going to be a lot of action throughout the entire day. Definitely lots to keep your eyes on.
Yeah, especially with day 2, we have basketball, which we already talked about. We have 4:20 Eastern time. We have Nigeria versus Australia, which is going to be an amazing game to watch. And we also have France versus the United States, 8 a.m. Eastern time, with men's basketball. And then we also have women's freestyle in the morning as well, and beach volleyball with the USA competing against China during day 2.
Okay, can we make
And
some
one sport-
predictions? And Kit, can we make some predictions?
Nigeria is
prediction I think will start from tomorrow or day after, because I think the medal game will start I think from 24th onwards. So as of now, the prediction is that we want USA not to win the gold this time in the basketball. That is for sure, because
The USA will beat France in basketball. That's
I don't think so.
You can forget France. Goodbye, France. Okay.
It's been
Now,
pretty
in terms
shocking.
of,
Nigeria will
in
be
terms of
very
conceding the tennis to Serbia and Djokovic, I'm not going to concede it that early, because remember, we have a secret weapon. I'm sorry, Kiri. It's called COVID-19. You never know when that's going to hit, and then the person has to withdraw from the Olympics. So we're not going to concede the tennis. Not so
It
fast.
says a lot about the downfall of American tennis if you're relying on a second bout of COVID-19 for Djokovic to take him down. But I can't blame you. That's about the only thing that can take him down right now. None of the athletes in the draw certainly not the American players. I can tell you that much.
Mhm. So we're a little short on American players. Let's come up with a virus or something like that. So anyway, yeah, no. So that could happen on the volleyball. The USA rocks, as we well know, and so the thing is, we'll end up winning the volleyball gold
Yeah.
medals, of course.
We are
Right,
facing-
Addie.
I mean,
the
it's always
USA
a possibility. Always a possibility.
I mean, on tomorrow, Nigeria is going to be facing Argentina at 10:05 p.m. Eastern Time. So that would be amazing. I personally have played for the USA team, and I know a lot of the girls on the team. So I will be supporting them and going through them. Like that whole process to even get to Tokyo is grueling, but I'm very proud of the players, and I'm very excited to see them kill it on the court.
Katie, why is it so grueling? Why don't you just take an airplane and get over there? What's the problem?
I mean, volleyball is hard. First off,
you want to play on the volleyball team?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought you said you just want to go to Tokyo. If you just
No,
want
no, go to Tokyo. I mean,
okay, yeah, you want to play on the volleyball team.
volleyball in itself is hard, but going to Tokyo, it might be hard finding the money, but the struggling college
Yeah,
student.
and you go to Duke University where you play on the volleyball team there, right?
Yes.
Do you know that's the same university which Richard M. Nixon graduated from law school? Okay, just let you know.
The same university where Jaleel Okafor, who is representing the Nigerian basketball team, is beating the U.S. So, I mean, a lot of great people come out of this university.
Beating the U.S. Wait a minute, I didn't hear you properly. I did not hear you properly. Okay.
Is there a bad connection, or are you just?
No, there's a bad connection.
I think what happens is that between the rivalry of Nigeria and USA, I think Australia or China will win the lot of golds this time. But a lot of people around the world is not. If you go by the social trends on Olympics, then people are not very much fond of Chinese contingent this time because of the COVID thing happening. So they are favoring either USA or Russia, or maybe Australia will be the winner this time for the Olympic sports. What's your take on that?
You can't escape politics when it comes to athletics. It's just, you can't avoid it. And that's, of course,
it goes hand in hand.
It has nothing to do with politics. America has the talent. We're going to win it all. Okay. So what you should do is you should give the United States of America, the world's largest economy, first place in the Olympics, and then you guys can go out and play the game.
Well, on a more serious note,
yeah.
Unfortunately, going off what Kirill said, yes, this Olympics is rife, and like many other Olympics, it's rife with politics. We have the pandemic politics with many of native Japanese people not wanting the Olympics there in the first place. We have the politics of Black Lives Matter and the Olympics very much being against any sort of political protest at the Olympics. They didn't even show, when the women's players were playing, they didn't even show them kneeling for their national anthem. And so we already seen what side the Olympic Committee has taken on many of these political issues, and it's causing a lot of backlash.
Well, we're going to hear a lot about that, I'm sure, on the World Edition later on the IBM TV channel. So that'll be pretty good to listen to. But in the meantime, they can talk to the United States of America here, the world's largest economy. And the thing is, and also we're going over to Tokyo apparently to grab a lot of gold and bring it back to the USA, which is a good thing, you know.
I hope you're not spreading the COVID from US to Japan.
No, we're not. We don't. Because we have vaccines here, Ankit, in the United States. We're all vaccinated, so all our athletes are always vaccinated. You know,
that's the NC State baseball team.
Well, you know, that's North Carolina. That's not the United States of America. Who's going overseas? Who's going over there to grab the gold and then bring it back here? And that's what's great about the Olympics, is that it gives us a chance to show how great the United States really is. So, that's
and that applies to all nations, by no means just the United States. That's, of course, there is the massive edge that athletes come, as you said, to the United States to play. As we mentioned, the NBA. So many NBA players are returning home to their countries to compete for their national teams, something that makes the Olympics competitive. It's exactly what prevents the United States, the world's largest economy, from buying the Olympics. And that's the beauty of it, that there is always competition, because still national pride prevails overall. That's the essence of the Olympics.
Yeah, see, that's a sad thing. We just can't buy all the medals. I don't know. We're gonna have to refigure this one, Ankit.
I mean,
So-
it's the same concept of why people like college basketball more than the NBA. It's less about the money and more about the athleticism of the actual people and the diversity and the just the wide playing field so everyone can compete in. So that's
when
what
you talk about the diversity, this is the first time that a Muslim sportsman is leading the UK flag bearer as a part of Olympic.
yeah,
The details are already there. So Mohammad Sibhi is the first Muslim to carry the British flag at an opening ceremony, which is interesting news, as well as talking about those theories of black and white and stuff like that. Because if people are or countries are promoting it, then I think they still believe that deep part that it's nothing about the caste or the religion or the colors and stuff like that. But anyways, let's talk about interesting facts. And one of the facts what we were discussing this time is sharing you the news about the the new sports coming up in this Olympics. So we have karate in this Olympics, where sport climbing, skateboarding, baseball, softball, surfing, and then we have some subcategory sports like basketball, 3x basketball. So 3x3. Would you like to share some stories and Kiran on that?
I definitely want to address 3x3 basketball because it's a new discipline that's been added to the Olympics as a subcategory of the already existing basketball event. This is, to me, fascinating because 3x3 is derived from a street game played all over the world, essentially. Basketball on one hoop. Teams, of course, the rules are looser when you play on the street with your friends. It can be 3 people, it can be 4, it can be 5, but in general, it's always first to 21 half court. And now that's been standardized for the last few years. We've seen FIBA, the international basketball governing body, organize these 3x3 tournaments. And now it's made it to the Olympics. To me, that's monumental because we're bringing something that people aged 4 or 5 grab one basketball or anything shaped like a basketball, shoot on a hoop, and they are playing the equivalent of an Olympic sport. And definitely keep your eyes out on that discipline because it's fast-paced, it's exciting. There's nothing that you won't like. Played on half a court, just 10-minute games, first to 21 points, and teams often play 2 or 3 games daily. There's a round-robin stage in both the men's and women's tournaments, followed by a knockout stage featuring each and every team. Now, that's, to me, makes it incredibly exciting because there is so much action. Footwork is emphasized. Shooting, much less. So anyone can make it here. It's never one-sided in this sport. I'm personally very interested in it because the Serbian national team, 3x3, we were one of the first world champions. In fact, we were the second ever to win the world title. We are the reigning European champions. Now we are going for Olympic gold for the first time. It would be an amazing accolade to add to what this 3x3 team has achieved. Now, the absence of the United States, their failure to qualify, makes it a much clearer path to the title. But that's exactly what I'm saying. 10-minute games, anything can happen. One bad day, one bad move can cost you the gold medal. So definitely watch both the men's and women's events. 3x3, fascinating.
Very excited for 3x3 as well. I think 3x3. Yeah.
But I think apart from basketball, a lot of people around the world are focusing on the track and field as well because track and field is one of the popular events people follow around the world, no matter from which country you are. But a lot of people are supporting the athletes around the world, and I think so are you looking forward for those track and field event? And we will be missing Usain Bolt this time in the Olympics. Anything on that?
Well, there's already been controversy, especially with track and field, with starting beginning of this month with Sha'Carri Wilson and the whole trouble that she got into with the Olympic Committee for taking some substances that were illegal. But then there's also some athletes coming in from Africa that were banned from the Olympics due to their higher testosterone levels. But that being said, through the adversity, the USA team is back on the track with people like Allison Felix and even Sha'Carri Wilson coming her 30-day suspension. So we'll be watching both of them.
Yes, I was following the entire scandal regarding Richardson, as you mentioned, and it's quite fascinating to think that last minute change, a last minute emphasis of the rules results in her not being able to compete in the Olympics. Now, in my opinion, I have a very strong opinion on this topic. I think rules are rules. Still, that's got to be heartbreaking. What another interesting event that caused athletes to miss out on the Olympics, which they originally planned in competing in, was the failure to provide proper documentation. The Polish canoe team, the women's team, several members were unable to provide proper identification at Warsaw Airport as they were preparing to leave for Tokyo, resulting in them being turned back and disqualified from the competition. Here in Serbia, on the national news, a video aired of them crying in tears, hugging each other, commiserating that they were going to miss the biggest sporting event of their lives. For the older members, something that's preventing them from competing ever again. And it's just the reality of the Olympics. Even when there isn't a situation like there is now with COVID, there's always going to be something that's going to work to take that dream from these athletes. But we're hoping that those athletes, as well as Richardson, can bounce back, compete in future Olympics. And that's the reality. Now we're going to be looking at these 11,000 athletes that are competing, and we're hoping to see Richardson, the Polish canoe team, and several other athletes that were unable to make it this year in 2024 in Paris.
Yeah. And I mean, just going off of that, we know that this Olympics is going to be much different than one we have ever seen before, especially with the no fans from foreign countries being able to support their country, support their children, and support the people that they love, and only having natives of Japan supporting or in the stands even so them being spread out. Jackie, how do you feel about some of not having fans from your country being able to support you?
I mean, in all honesty, I think it's really hard because I think we can all agree that it has been a really tough year with COVID and everything like that. And now that the Special Olympics is on, of course, it's going to look much different this year compared to the other years that the Special Olympics has always taken place. And because it's just like the players this time, like you said, no fans, no one can really be there or support them while they're playing. So ultimately, I do think it might become a challenge because we want them to be as motivated and as energized as possible to continue playing throughout the games and to have a very positive mindset. So I think it will be an interesting challenge, but hopefully they can prevail throughout the Olympics.
Of course, we look at that issue, and they've competed without fans. Many of these athletes have over the last year or so due to the COVID pandemic. But just as stadiums in, say, Europe or the United States were opening up, in Tokyo, the situation with the epidemic is such that, once again, no fans. And that's got to be a punch to the gut. Such a change in atmosphere, already having to adapt to the bubble method, to having these restrictions, to wearing masks sometimes during the athletic events that are going on. And being able to break free from that for a month or two, now going back is going to be even harder. But these are Olympians. They're there because they are the best athletes in the world. So personally, I think they're going to put on a spectacular show. They already have some of the events that have already begun, and it's only going to intensify from here. So let's keep our fingers crossed for an entertaining Olympics despite the circumstances.
Yeah, but things have already gone wrong, as we can see already. First, the United States losing to Nigeria in basketball. That is wrong. I mean, come on, guys. This is the United States of America, the world's largest economy. We have the best players in the world, and then we lost to Nigeria. Then another thing went wrong. We lost to Australia. I mean, no one lives there. It's down under. We lose to them. Then the third thing that went wrong, the soccer team, our football team loses women's soccer to Sweden. Okay. So we've already seen some really big problems that are taking place in this Olympics. And, so we don't know for sure. We don't know for sure if Djokovic is actually going to win the tennis because, and that's the beauty of the Olympics. You never know who's going to actually win. You just got to watch the games and figure out who's going to come through at the end of the day. I did notice that Tokyo there's a lot of people in Tokyo who didn't want to hold the Olympics because of the COVID-19, and also it's got to be difficult, like everybody say, to play without fans. Now, Adi, you actually had to play volleyball this year, didn't you not, without any fans?
Yeah, without fans, with
For
mask.
you? And,
Yeah.
and did that affect your game at all, or do you just block that out? There's no fans, and so that's okay.
It is a 50-50 thing. So most of the time when there are fans, you do have to, as an athlete, you do have to block them out a little bit. But when you're doing well and you have people supporting you, it definitely fuels the fire underneath you to make you do better. Or when you see a family member that has been along your journey with you the whole time, it makes you want to do better for them. I was watching an article about Simone Biles and how she says at every tournament she's been to, she's always looked for her family in the crowd, and how this is going to be very different because she's not going to see the supporting love and affection from her mother that she usually finds in the crowd, even in these big stadiums where we know Simone Biles is the top of her class when it comes to gymnastics, but even she still looks for her support system. So it is going to be difficult for these athletes, but I'm sure that they will pull through because they're the top of their class, and like Carol said, they're going to give us a show.
Now this is breaking news from Maria, and I didn't know about this, but I think everybody needs to know this. And Maria's behind the scenes, okay? And she goes, about 100 U.S. athletes in Tokyo are unvaccinated as on COVID-19 as Olympics began. How can we have at the USA 100 U.S. athletes unvaccinated at this point in time? I mean, the vaccines are free; they could take it. And what's the problem? Carol, Jackie, talk to me. Why are these athletes not vaccinated?
Well, I personally think that's a topic that should be saved for World Edition because it can stir up a lot of controversy, not directly related to athletics. But in my opinion, they've been given that choice. They have been told, the Olympic Committee has set the regulations where they do not have to be vaccinated. They're fully within the rules, and they have earned the right to compete at the Olympics, regardless of whether or not they are vaccinated. Now,
well, I can't wait to take that on World Edition because I have a whole different viewpoint on this one. Okay, you know, if the United States of America, the world's largest economy, and the U.S. Olympic Committee is helping support you to get to Tokyo, unless you're paying your own way and you're not vaccinated, you pull the plug, baby. You say you can't go, and that's an old United States Supreme Court decision in 1908 that you can say you take the vaccine or goodbye. So why the USOC is so wimpy about this? This is not political. This is just pure science. I have no idea. And I believe at Duke 80, they require you to take the vaccine, right? Yeah, or go play for someone else. Why are we so wimpy on the vaccine? I don't get it.
Because it causes so much controversy.
There is no controversy.
I mean,
for anybody who's had smallpox, anybody's had polio, smallpox, malaria, and things of that nature know that vaccines and science work. So the thing is, to me, there is no controversy. What it is, it's like this. Here's the controversy. You want to play for the USA team, you take the COVID-19 vaccine. If you don't, then don't bother to show up. Real simple. No controversy.
On the social media, the news is that let's see whether the sportsmen will win the gold medals or the pharmaceutical companies, because there might be a case that all the Pfizer-related vaccines will win gold as compared to Moderna's and Sputniks and all those stuff. So that could also be the looking forward, because vaccines will create antibodies, and that might create a different kind of proposition for this Olympics for the sportsmen.
Well, you know, the thing is, it doesn't really matter. I mean, the thing is, the whole problem, smallpox wiped out half the the Native Americans here, more than half. Go to 1348. None of you were around in 1348. I was. I've been around.
I was there.
Oh, you were there. Okay. There was a thing called the bubonic plague. It wiped out half of Europe. Really, cities half would be decimated. So when you have diseases like this and you actually have a solution, you go for the solution. If you don't, and if this is what Jackie told me, and this is true, I'd give them a ticket back to the United States. Say, these are the rules, baby. If you want to play, you take the vaccine, because we're paying your ticket. Now, if they paid their own ticket, and they pay for their own meals, their own hotel room, then they could say, well, I can do it my way. But if we're paying for it,
So
then they need to go back home, buddy. Go back home.
Yeah, true. And apart from that, there are a lot of people on the opening ceremony were not wearing masks as well. So, I mean, there's a lot of debates going on in that part that why people are still not wearing masks in the Olympics.
Well, the mask depends if you have if you're vaccinated or not. At least,
No, but still, the rule of Olympics is that everyone should have covered their face with a mask because it's mandatory. But I don't know what happened in the ceremony.
Really?
Secondly, this is the first Olympics where we will not get the pictures of the people getting gold, biting the gold, or kissing the medal because that's not allowed. In fact, you have to grab your medal on your own. No one will give you the flowers and the medals and give you a greeting and stuff like that. So this is the first time it happens in Olympics 2021.
Yeah, and also getting rid of somebody made a comment in 1990, who's heading of the committee. What's this counterculture all about? In other words, if you make a comment 30, 40 years ago, all of a sudden, oh no, you made a comment 30, 40 years ago, you're a bad guy, and all of a sudden out the door you go. I mean, some of this stuff, this craziness has just got to stop.
Well,
at some point in time. But that's for World Edition, right, Kerry? That's for World Edition.
That's for World Edition.
not for the Olympics, but World Edition will be coming up in about 40 minutes or so. So we'll see what Shaquille has to say about that.
Yeah.
Certainly.
But Shakil will be proud that Australia will be doing good this time in the Olympics.
Oh, Australia will be doing good? Oh, well, they beat the United States in basketball, so they've already done good. Yeah. I don't know what we're supposed to say about it. So what about India? We haven't talked about India. Ankit, last time I saw India, they were going to China, and their delegation was really small. And I don't get that. So
this time we have a total of 119 sportsmen participating in multiple sports, and we are hoping at least 10 to 15 medals, including a couple of golds. So let's see how that goes. But we have a lot of this time we have a lot of sportsmen who are world number one in their own category of discipline, and hopefully we will get some medals, and let's see how that goes.
Yeah, because you guys got tons of people. I mean, you have 1.5 billion people you could just throw at there. I mean, so the thing is with 1.5 billion.
But you know that, I mean, we believe in humanity, so that's why we always give a small contingent so that everyone will also get the medal possible in the Olympics. So we don't want to go for gold; we want to go for humanity.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, that sounds pretty good. But the world's second largest economy, world's second largest country, certainly should be able to bring people on.
And you have a fan following, Nick, on the someone is watching you as one of your fans.
Oh, somebody's there, right?
Kim, really? Hi, Miss Kim.
Well, so somebody asked me who's going to be on this. I think it was Kim, and I go, I don't have a clue. I've been on vacation till yesterday night, so I have no idea what we were doing until I show up. Of course. Now the thing is, all the plans that Ankit made were totally disturbed. So what can I tell you? It's got all this thing out. So what do we have on today? Do we have anything good going on today in terms of events? I saw the Olympic opening ceremony, and that was about it. Yeah. Is that it?
And then a couple of games have already started, but nothing for the medal tally. It's only maybe the round league matches and the rankings for the final games for different categories. But again, the best part is that there are very few contingents and sports people participated in the ceremony this time. From India, there are 6 people participated. I think similarly to other countries as well, which is so that's why the ceremony is not a big ceremony this time. But that's what the COVID-19 happened and did so far. But we have to look forward for the games which are happening from tomorrow onwards. And if you want, I can show the list of all the sports in Olympics because people are still not sure how many sports are there in the Olympics this time. So we have some numbers right here.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and also Maria was saying that Parquet, the person in space, is also a judo black belt. So he's looking forward to the judo action that's going to take place, and of course the gymnasts and the flips and all that other stuff. But the gymnasts are absolutely amazing. I don't know how they do that stuff, but they do what they do. Okay, so what do we got here, Ankit?
So these are all the sports and the disciplines of sports which will be playing during the Tokyo 2020, and they will be running for the medals. And we have like 5 new sports coming up, but this is the complete tally of sports.
Right. Okay. So
and then we have baseball, basketball, boxing. We have sprint, and then we have cycling, and then multiple cyclings. Then we have equestrian, which is a water sport, and then we'll go back to field hockey, football, golf, gymnastics, and then gymnastics is very popular. So is the track and field. Then we have a couple of handballs, judo, karate. Wrestling is very popular in India, and we might getting a couple of golds in wrestling as well. So as in shooting, and then we have rowing, modern modern pentathlon, and then we have rugby, which is a debatable sport. As Kirill and we were discussing that we still not sure the rules of rugby. Is it an American soccer or rugby? Then we have sailing, skateboarding, which is a new sport. Sports climbing also a new sport. Then we have surfing, table tennis, taekwondo, tennis, triathlon, which is an interesting sport to watch out for. Volleyball, very close to Ade's heart. Then we have beach volleyball. Then we have weightlifting, wrestling, freestyle, and then the last one is Greco-Roman. Yeah. So these are the sports which will be competing for the medals in Tokyo 2020.
Yeah, they also have Taekwondo, which I thought is pretty
Yeah.
interesting, as a sport. So they have quite a few interesting and variety of sports here. It looks like.
It's what I love about the Olympics. Every time you can see some sport that you normally don't watch, that you don't follow, and that's what I love. I turn on the TV, some, to me, random sport that I've never watched before. It piques my interest because these are athletes competing for their countries just like they are in the events that I do follow, which are generally water polo, tennis, volleyball, the more followed sports. But I am absolutely open to seeing athletes compete in, say, equestrianism or archery or BMX racing. That's exactly why I love the Olympics, and that's why I think everyone likes the Olympics. Not only is there national pride, there's also that exploration of new sports that you have never seen before.
Yeah, it's like curling. I mean, how many people would know about curling unless you watch the Winter Olympics? They won't have curling this Olympics because it's the Summer Olympics. But I mean, seriously, curling as that was a kind of interesting sport. But no, it's really good to see a lot of these different variety of sports, and it gives these athletes in some areas that aren't supported by media a chance to participate in their individual sports. And I'm going to put a plug for chess. I know that Sasha Starr isn't here, but I'm going to put a plug and a notice for the chess world. Chess is not an Olympic sport, but whether people know it or not, they actually have a chess Olympiad that runs almost concurrently with the Olympics. Okay, and there you have almost 200 countries participate, but they got shunned by, they have a problem with the IOC, and I'll tell you what the problem is. The chess players don't want drug testing. I am not kidding. And that's the reason. Wow. It's really not the Olympics not wanting the chess Olympiad to go there, because it's a big event. They have thousands and thousands of people that go there and show up. It's the chess players that don't want to be part of the Olympics because they object to the drug testing. So you can put that in your
controversy over these new sports that are looking to be introduced. Some of the news that came in a couple days ago. Actually, we've been seeing a lot of news about future Olympics coming in as these Olympics do start. Like, for example, Brisbane being selected to host the 2032 Olympics. But the news that piqued my interest is cheerleading receiving approval to be an Olympic sport. Very, very controversial.
What's the name of the sport, Kerry?
Cheerleading.
Cheerleading. Oh, yeah. But have you ever seen what they do over here in cheerleading?
Oh
it's amazing. I mean, the thing is, it could be an Olympic sport. You ever watch these cheerleading teams? I don't know if you've seen them, 80, but man, they're killers.
Down south, especially in Texas. Oh my goodness.
Oh my Lord. So the thing is, once you see how they produce it, you'll change your mind altogether. Because they had the U.S. cheerleading championship here, and I'm going, oh, this is going to be boring. Then I watched it. I was going, this is not boring. They're absolutely amazing what they do. They're tremendous athletes. As a matter of fact, I'm just totally impressed how good the cheerleading is. So once you see it, you're going to go, yes, it should be an Olympic sport. It's absolutely amazing.
It's fascinating, as are so many different activities in sports, these games that are all seeking, obviously the ultimate goal is to be part of the Olympics, where all athletes who compete in sports that are not mainstream, that are not maybe even considered sports, But
Right.
it's always interesting because, for example, I was actually having an interesting discussion with Ankit the other day regarding, say, artistic swimming,
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
they are subcategorizing themselves as a part of swimming. They are becoming a new discipline under the swimming umbrella. And that is why they are, for example, an Olympic sport. The thing with, say, cheerleading is that they are seeking to come in as an independent sport. Now, I don't know enough about the game to subcategorize it as something else, but one thing is for certain: as long as it's called cheerleading, you are cheering for athletes. That's where the name is derived from. Now, competitive cheerleading has nothing to do with, say, football players or basketball players. It's a sport of its own. But
Yeah.
shouldn't we come up with a more inventive name that would essentially earn its
It could be,
support?
but it's gymnastics. Once you see it, you're going to go like,
Exactly.
you've got to be kidding me. What level they've actually brought it to is high level gymnastics. Some of the stuff I think they do could be even dangerous what they do, because these people go so far into the air before they come down. I just go like, you got to be kidding me. So it's absolutely amazing to watch. And I think it'd be great for the Olympics to actually get cheerleading on. I'm not sure about chess because it's very boring. Okay, so they have their own
So how about
Olympiad.
speed chess, Nick?
I'm
We
not
can have
sure.
a blind test, blindfolding speed chess in the Olympics.
Yeah, it's pretty boring. Okay, so I can see them.
Very fun to
They're
play,
having
but
problems. That's a different story. But
it's fun to play, but is it something you would sit and watch for hours?
yeah, no,
Mhm.
Maybe not.
no, it doesn't watch very well. But
How about a 3x3 chess game where three people
well,
are
they do
competing?
have doubles chess, which is actually pretty interesting to watch.
Yeah.
But very few people, unless you play a lot, know about doubles chess. So they call it Bug House, and that is actually a very interesting, fast-moving game that's done
Fascinating.
usually in 5 minutes. It's
Wow.
quite interesting to watch. But
And
yeah,
speeding up a sport is always a great way to bring it into
right.
the mainstream.
Yeah,
Like, that's
yeah,
why
you're right. If they had a doubles chess or bug house competition, people would actually watch it, and you got to pay attention because it moves real fast. Like I said, the whole game's over in 5 minutes. It zip 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 zip, zip like that. It's an amazing game to watch. Regular chess is really boring. Goes on for like hours. You know, you'll die. You'll be dead by the time the game's done. Okay, but Bug House would be really good, and what they call speed chess or bullet, which is really heavy on the internet, where the whole game's done in 1 minute. That could be interesting, and maybe somewhere they'll come to an agreement with FIDE, which is the Federation International de Chess, and the Olympic Committee, and they'll put something on that's interesting. But who knows? You know, we'll just have to see. But I'm grateful they're adding cheerleading. I would actually watch that. That was fantastic when they show it on ESPN. So
Wonderful.
very good.
Great. Moving forward, one of the facts also we were discussing, or we have to discuss, that there are more than 11,000 athletes will be participating this year in Olympics for the medal tally, which is one of the biggest athlete contingent so far. But a lot of popular names and the bigger names in the sports arena have withdrawn from the game as well, or the Olympics this time, including the tennis stars. Multiple tennis stars are not showing up. So as the athletes from different areas of sports. And then, but I think Olympics gives a lot of new heroes as well, and I think we have to look for new heroes and cheering up for new heroes. What is this? The important heroes or the important sports people or track and field event which people around the world watches is that they would like to see who is the next Usain Bolt, because this time he's not playing, he's not running, so the eyes are on the US and the Jamaican team. Then who will be the next person taking that position and then leading the game basically? Any thoughts about that, Eddie?
Otherwise, then Jamaica really leads in the short distance, and we're excited to see that. But also, a lot of African countries like Kenya, Somalia lead in the long distance as well. And so, and then there's so much eyes on track and field with short distance, and we have our USA team representing us in shot put and other field activities that we're also very excited to watch. So when it comes to track and field as a whole, yes, it's sad that Usain Bolt will not be in the competition this time, but there are other amazing athletes that we will keep our eye on.
And I think people are forgetting, obviously, the popularity of Bolt being the fastest man in many
Yeah,
people's opinions
Mhm.
sure.
of all time. earn traction for the 100 meter, 200 meter track events. But the field events, they don't get enough of the limelight. I personally want to shout out a terrific athlete who Serbia is very, very proud of, actually was our flag bearer in 2016, Ivana Španović. She competes in the long jump. It's an event that's very interesting to watch. The athleticism that field athletes have to have. As Ade mentioned, the shot put is also a fantastic event to watch. It's absolutely incredible to witness them put in this body strength to complete, say, a jump into a sand pit. And these distances are astonishing when you think about it. You try doing that, you won't get a fraction of what they do. And that's exactly why I love watching it. I sit and watch in awe. I'm amazed to see what they're actually accomplishing. It's amazing, and that's what I'm saying. So many athletic events that aren't in the limelight enough because there's only room for so many sports. And a lot of these, the only opportunity you'll really have to follow them is at the Olympics. So don't stick just to sports you generally watch. Try and watch something new. I strongly suggest it. I've applied that tactic at the last 2 Olympics since I've been following the Olympic Games. It's always been like that, and it's always brought me so many new experiences.
Interesting. And apart from what you mentioned, that there are a couple of other sports which is a part of the track and field, including the discus throw, the javelins, and then a couple of more sports. And I think we have a good people or sportsmen competing that. But the best part about track and field sport is that there are multiple sports playing around at the same point of time. So there might be a long jump game going on at the one corner, and from the other corner, people are playing discus throw and javelin and stuff like that. So that creates a bigger stage that you are watching multiple sport at the same point of time. And we have a good Indian contingent this time as well. So we are hoping a couple of medals out of track and field as well.
There's always with track and field, they have to have a very specific medal ceremony schedule so as to not interfere with the concentration of athletes who are currently participating. And there's situations, I've watched several athletics events where someone will win the gold or the silver or the bronze at 11 in the morning and won't receive his or her medal until 6 in the evening.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting to see how they balance these events because there are situations where there are several sports being played in the same facility, but none as much as track and field, where there can be up to 15 disciplines being played simultaneously.
Okay. So I think before we wrap up, a couple of quick questions with our panelists. That what is your favorite sport in Olympics, and then what's your prediction for this time 2020 Olympic? We'll start with Jackie.
That's honestly a good question. So my favorite sport in the Olympics is definitely basketball because I come from a huge basketball family, and honestly, the excitement, the intensity, that is honestly just a pleasure to be watched during the Olympics that will be taking place very soon. It is very interesting to watch, and just to see it's like how much pressure and like the intensity, and honestly it's kind of just like it'll make you jump out of your seat a little bit. So I definitely look forward to seeing how all of it will play out in the Olympics this year.
Wonderful. And what about the prediction for this year?
I think the production this year is great, given the fact that I've recently joined, but I definitely look forward to continuing to work with the production, and I really look forward to what else we will get to explore together.
Okay. So from Serbia, not from Serbia, but we have to go to Serbia now. So Kirill, what about you?
Well, I will be keeping an eye, as I've mentioned before, on the tennis. Tennis and football are the sports that I follow, and this year, particularly in tennis, Serbs all over are going to be turning their attention to see Djokovic attempt to make history for the umpteenth time in his career. So my prediction there, obviously, another gold medal for Serbia, but the first time ever that we'll win it in tennis. It would be something that's missing from our overall medal repertoire. Tennis, we've never won a medal in any tennis event other than Djokovic's bronze medal in Beijing in 2008. A historic gold would mean so much to me to all of Serbia, to Djokovic himself. So that's what I'll be keeping my eye on. But there's so much more to watch. As I said, don't keep your eyes just on one.
Wonderful. What about you, Eddie?
Well, for me, the sports that I love to watch, obviously the sport I play, volleyball. I'm excited to see some players that I have played with personally show their stuff out in Tokyo. I would obviously be watching basketball. We've talked about way too much, Nigeria and the USA team as well. And I'm also very interested in seeing the results of track and field, gymnastics, and swim and dive. Very popular sports, like very entertaining sports, and sports that I feel not only myself but others look forward to. And predictions for this year, I think the U.S. is going to have a little lighter bag coming back from Tokyo. I think that a lot of other countries are bringing their A game. They're bringing their best, and we have already seen upsets in many sports, and there are more upsets to come.
Yep. True. That's for sure. I think we want the best men win this time in the Olympics, and then hopefully everyone will be safe and healthy. And then it's time to celebrate Olympics 2020, and we have to give a lot of power to the Tokyans and the Japan people as well to host it in a much more appropriate manner, because this couple of weeks will be very critical, not for just for Japan but for the whole nation and the world. And let's see how we can do the coverage on IBM TV, and how we'll try to cover the most of the sports and the news, whatever the best way we can during this time. So it's time to wrap up. Thank you for joining us, and then we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same day.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye. It's time to wrap up.